can have brains and beauty. Like it's not one or the other, society says that it is one or the other. You couldn't possibly be smart and also like fashion or be on a runway. And it's just ridiculous.
I'm so excited to welcome my very first guest, Dr. Erin Issac.
Yay. Thanks for having me, Joanne. I'm so excited.
So fun fact, you just got a puppy, right?
Yes, I did. Hopefully you can't hear her whimpering. She's mad because I'm not playing with her right now.
Oh my gosh. And she is adorable. I've seen her on Instagram.
Oh, her name is Devereaux. I'm a huge Golden Girls fan. So if anyone watches Golden Girls, that's Blanche's last name on the Golden Girls. So she's a mini Golden Doodle. Right now, she's about 7.5 to 8 pounds. So she's tiny, but she's definitely a force. That's for sure. Her birthday, fun fact, is the day after mine. So we're going to celebrate our birthdays together. But she's the cutest, minus her puppy nipping phase. Other than, like I told you, she chews through my microphone cord, so I can't use my microphone now. But as puppies do, she's so cute. You can't even get mad at her. She just looks at me like, oh, what? But she's the cutest.
Well, thanks to you. Now my daughter wants one.
I will say puppies are a lot of work. So anyone listening whose kids are begging them for a puppy, definitely remember that. Yes, because you will be getting up every hour on the hour for the first couple of weeks or months to take them out. So they're not all just cuddly fun. There's definitely work involved for sure, but it's worth it.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
So when I saw this photo, this beautiful photo of you modeling a gorgeous wedding gown, I was taken aback and you're stunning. But what struck me even more was the statement that you put with the photo. And it said, "Who were you before the world told you who you should be?" And wow, it just really completely captivated me. And I would love it if you could tell us more what that means to you, what leaning into who you truly are, your authentic self means, and how can we do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I will say, it sounds so crazy, but being around kids all the time is what helps me to think about like, man, I really can be or do whatever I want to be or do. As a kid, you're just doing what you do. Yes, there are rules from your parents, but that I want to be an astronaut or I want to be a brain surgeon. Like, go for it. So being around kids all the times really just gets my mind thinking like, when did we stop thinking that we could be whatever we want it to be? Like, because everyone just tells us certain things, like you said, especially for females. And for me, especially a female of color, it may or may not be said out loud, but there's like certain roles that we're supposed to fill.
Yeah.
And it just blows my mind. But a lot of my, I guess, inspiration comes from, this is going to sound cheesy, but from my mom. Being a retired female physician, she was one of the youngest ever chief medical officers at her hospital, the first African American chief medical officer at her hospital. Yeah.
Wow, that is so incredible.
Thank you. So growing up, it's weird because it was almost just like, oh, this isn't the norm. I'm confused, So seeing her doing everything was just like, oh, that's, I can do whatever I want to do also.
Yeah.
But then you keep going along into high school, college, things like that. And then that's when it starts seeping into your brain, people telling you what you should or should not do or be or things like that. But but at least growing up with a family and my mom, she was the primary breadwinner. My dad was the one who was taking us to everything, all of our sports and whatnot, because she was at work. He was doing our hair. I still ask my dad to do my hair sometimes because he was the one who was taking us to everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, it's just so frustrating that we as females think that like this is all that I can do, or this is this is the only route or the only path for me.
Mhm.
So I just really hope to inspire females that, you literally can be or do whatever you want. And I talk about this at the office with my little patients all the time, boys and girls,
Yeah.
but a lot of times my little girl patients is just
Yeah.
trying to nail that in their head. Like you literally can do whatever you want and be whatever you want.
Oh, wow. I just love that. And I love that your family has had such an incredible impact and influence on your life. Outside of your immediate family influence, has there been anything else practically that you've done to move towards your true self?
Yeah. So again, going back to practicing as a pediatric dentist, I can remember the exact specific time, two patients of mine, I keep saying little, but they're in like grade school now because I started seeing them when they were tiny. But speaking of modeling, I put a picture up on Facebook from some show that I was in, and their mom, who I've become really good friends with, showed it to them. And they're like, wait, Dr. Erin does that too? And they thought it was like the coolest thing. And until that point, I had been afraid to kind of mesh the two as far as
Mm.
being a professional and having a life, I guess,
Yeah,
outside of
yeah.
being a professional. Like that's so silly when you think about it. But so she showed them the picture. They thought it was amazing. And from that point on, I was like, I mean, that's me, you
Yeah.
know? And from that point on, I just felt so much freer, even at the office, just to talk about things and post certain things. And it just helps me to to connect more because I'm not as
Mhm.
trying to be so prim and proper. And honestly, especially kids, want a connection with the person who's going to be 6 inches away from their face, you
Yeah.
know? That helps build that trust. It helps the parents build the trust to see, especially moms, because that's the majority of people who bring their kids in, to see, scroll Instagram before they bring their child in, like, oh, she's a real person. She has like, thoughts. Uh, she's not just like a robot dentist.
Yes, yeah.
So, and on a bonus is that it's really helped to grow my office because, people like to see people.
Totally.
That's the best way to say it.
Yes.
So, it's
It's so
actually been
true.
really freeing. Mhm.
I wanted to share just a really quick story with you and get your input. My daughter recently told me that she's concerned that her stomach is getting too big and she's not as lean as her friends. And we had some healthy dialogue about loving the bodies we're given. This means we accept ourselves the way we are made and that we really try not to compare ourselves to other people. The interesting thing is that it wasn't another friend or another, girl or whatever that said that to her. It's just this growing internal struggle that, and kind of like awareness of her body that she's been experiencing. And because, of course, as any other mom, I am like, what mean girl just said something to you? But my question to you is what would you say to young girls, my daughter's age, about body image, society's standards of beauty, the comparison trap?
You can have brains and
Mm.
beauty. Like it's not one or the other, society says that it is one or the other. You couldn't possibly be smart and also like fashion or be on a runway. And it's just ridiculous. But so for your daughter, I thought the same thing as soon as you said that. I was like, give me their names. Like that's what I do for my patients all the time. I'm like, who said that to you? Um, but growing up and even still till this day, I was told by a lot of people that my eyes were too wide set and that my nose was too big. So like I would actually come home from school on a lot of days and try to like smush my nose together. Like ridiculous. And even till this day, when I look at pictures, sometimes I'm like, my nose, it's just like it's too big.
Mm.
Still to this day. The eye thing I don't really care about. But
Yeah.
it's hard because especially for a 10-year-old
Mm.
who might have a phone or be on social media, seeing, the perfect the perfect quote unquote body images every single day. Like that's not realistic. Seeing these magazine covers and I don't know, YouTube stars and all that stuff, like that's not necessarily the norm or even the ideal. We're all different. We're all beautiful. I would say to your daughter, I was talking to her like, not look how look, I don't know, I forget the words that she used, but look how strong your stomach is. Look how strong your body is. You
Yeah.
don't have to be a stick.
Yeah.
Like there's,
I
there's
love
positives. Yeah, there's positives to every body type. We're all made differently for a reason. There's
that.
a reason why your body is the way it is.
Mhm.
Maybe we just haven't found out what that is yet. It could be great for playing certain sports or things like that. So it, it's I could get on an entire soapbox. That could be a whole nother podcast because I
Yeah,
talk to
yeah.
my little patients about this all the time. But, it's tough at that age. The preteen girl age is so tough. And then even seeing friends or other girls in their school who might be leaner and might get more attention or things like that. I would just say, looking back now, I wish I could tell my younger self like that. It doesn't matter.
Mm,
Like that doesn't matter. I
right.
remember seeing posters in grade school like the jeans you wear now won't matter in 30 years, and I just that stuck with me because a lot of the cool kids or the popular kids from high school, like they're not. I don't wish bad on anyone, but they're not doing much with their lives right now. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? So it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
the mark you leave on the world is what matters.
Yes. Well, I believe it takes a huge amount of strength to move towards your story, to work through those experiences that have hurt you, shamed you, to face the fear of discovering the raw, true, authentic version of ourselves, and also to love it. And a big reason behind launching this story project was to give dentists a place to be real, to talk about who they truly are behind the role they play as practice owners. What does being fearless mean to them? That's what this is about. If you could say one thing to dentists struggling to be the real, authentic version of who they are, what would that be?
I would say that it does take courage, and you might have people along the way who don't like what you're doing or saying, but as long as you're being true to yourself and you feel that it's right and that it needs to be said or done, and that it's going to make you be able to feel more free, then do it. Back when the protests and things were happening, I was feeling 18 different emotions. And then one day I said, I'm just going to do I think it was like a Facebook Live, or I made a post on my practice page. And the response that I got was amazing. And it was all positive responses. Like, so, because I was like, oh my gosh, should I say anything? Like, it's weird if I don't, being a Black female, it's weird if I don't say something. But the responses that I got were just amazing. So I think sometimes you'd be surprised too. We get in our head that people aren't going to like what I say if it's real and authentic. But there are so many other people out there wanting to connect and have that same story. Same thing with my office when I was starting out. Didn't go so hot for a while there, starting from scratch. So, finances were an issue, a big issue. But then once I started talking about that, I have DMs every single day from dentists who are like, I'm in the same position. What did you do? Can you help me? Can we just talk? And just putting your story out there, you'd be surprised by how many other people are going through something similar. I guarantee you, you're not the only person having that same struggle or that same issue. So, and it just feels good to get it off your chest, and you can just feel so much more relaxed and free to do other things. So if it feels right to you, just do it.
Uh,
Yes.
I've mentioned your amazing Instagram feed so many times. How can people, if they want to follow you and stay in touch, what's the best place for them to do that?
Yeah. So my Instagram is at Dr. Erin. So it's DR_ERIN. That's Instagram. And then email is great also. And it's just hi@drerinonline.com. Those are probably the best ways to get in touch with me.
Dr. Isaac, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to share your story and heart with us, and for being the very first guest on the Story Project. Guys, we'll see you next time. That's a wrap.